Hi, Internet viewers. Frank Rauscher one more time. We are marching on. We're getting closer to finishing. I was going to say the otter. The Lazuli Bunting. I'm losing it, I'll tell you. I've been doing too many of these videos, and this is what happens. And my age, too. So just wanted to make sure that you got everything done on both sides, okay? We have like a blue stripe in here and here. I'm going to show you what I really should have done on the last one. Let's see if I have any left here. I may have some black, and what we should do is finish the tail up, and then we're going to dry that and see if I can't expedite that. Now, I tell you to cover your tray when you're done at the end of the day with saran wrap, so it seals it, and you put a couple drops of water in the tray like these guys here. And of course, I didn't do it. I got sidetracked. I had a little water problem here in my studio and got sidetracked and forgot to cover it. So I don't know if this is permanent or not. So let me see. I'm going to add a little water to the black I had before and see if it's really solid. You know, I may be able to survive this. So let's see. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do in this video here, we're going to go into the tail, which has not been darkened at all. I'm going to have you come in, and we are going to blacken the inside of each one of the tail feathers here, and I'll show you how to do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to highlight. Now I'm going to show you from one of my finished ones. You see the striping we have? We have a white border where we had the black, and I left you leave a spacing at the end of the feather in. This is where we started the black. Well, that's the case. We're going to highlight where the bars are, the white bars, and then if you get really close, the feathers on the end and these like three underneath here, just get a tinge of white. It's not bright white, where these here are very outstanding, okay? And that's the general marking for the Lazuli Bunting. So, and here's the other thing too. I just want to give you some hints here. We have made the Lazuli Bunting, but you have a chance within that. There's several buntings out there, okay? And you can change it basically with paint and paint it a different bunting, okay? So, you know, feel free after you do maybe one and you're following me with the step-by-step, that maybe you want to do another one and do a different variety of bunting, okay? And you could get away with it. The size-wise, I think they're within a half an inch of each other as far as length, but the basic feather layouts and everything else are the same. So I want to try to inspire you. Try some other ones too. You know, look into go for photos. I would ask you to go into the internet, call up the ones you may be interested in doing, and see the coloring and give it a shot. You know, you're basically doing everything all the way up to the ceiling, and then doing the white undercoat, and then after that you can mess around with the colors and try different buntings. So feel free to do that, and give it a shot and experiment. And that's what I'd like you to do. So you can learn on your own too. You're copying me, and that's great. Don't get me wrong. When I first started, I was lucky. I had a fellow by the name of Ernie Mulemet, who's since passed away. Sad to say, but I learned a lot from him, and he was one of the best out there as far as bird carvings, and he was very creative and so on. So I had copied him in the beginning, did everything he did almost to the T, and then after that he stopped teaching for a while, and then I started doing things on my own, which started me developing myself. Now, as I've said to you before, I am teaching you as much as I know. Well, that's limiting to some extent, because I would recommend, if you ever see anybody that's turning out some really nice birds or animals or whatever, and learn from them too, and then you come up with your own style. And that's what we're trying to achieve here, you being the artiste, you're basically, you're copying me, but we all don't come exactly to what I'm doing. You get close, but you improve. And by learning other people's techniques as well as mine, you put them together, and boy, now you're your own artist of a kind, and you may develop something that other people want to copy. So, feel free to change things. I always tell you, when you're doing a pattern, you're cutting out your own blanks, you can turn the head to the left, to the right, you can turn it 90 degrees. Try things like that, and experiment with them. So it's a lot of fun. And you may make some mistakes, but no big deal, and you learn, and we all learn from our mistakes. And if I make a mistake, I try to show you how to recoup, okay? But that, I can't say I've recouped everything, but I've performed some magic that I figured out, how did I do that myself, So stay with me, and hope you enjoy the videos here. The one thing I'm going to ask you again is if you would subscribe to my channel if you like what you see. I really would appreciate it. And if you can give me a thumbs up, and if you can also pass my channel information to a friend that may want to try bird carving or animals or what have you, I'd appreciate it, because it helps me in my algorithms for YouTube and so on. I'm trying to grow, to make it profitable, which you'll find if you ever start out in YouTube, it takes a while, and it's not like in some cases where your subject matter is really hot. You'll get a lot of people watching, and subscribing. Carving isn't the hottest item going, but there's a lot of people out there that are willing to learn and want to learn. And a lot of the reasons why I started my YouTube channel is because I wanted people to learn more than making a bird from a block of wood to a finished product in 15 minutes. That just doesn't happen. Not in real life, it doesn't. So hang in there with me, and we'll try to get you where you need to be. Let me get you going here and stop the talking so that you can get a little more done. I should have painted the the tail black, but we're going to do that first, and then I'm going to do the highlighting on one side of the bird. So remember, like I did this side with the black, and we did the mask in the front here and so on. And I'm going to hold that up. I don't know if, you know, somebody may not have gotten it 100%. I don't know if that's helpful to you or not. But, and the markings are generally the same on exactly the both sides. So I had trouble with the last video, and I should have carried on with the tail feathers. And we're only doing the top, okay? The bottom has a whole different setup. So I'll cover that too. But we will start doing the tail, and then we'll dry that, and then I'll start doing one side again where we do the highlighting in white, and then you do the other side when you got a chance to finish up on this, okay? So I don't do a repeat of one side and the other side's the same. So all you need to do is just, it's a mirror image. So we'll go from there. So let me bring the camera down so that you can see what I'm mixing and how I'm doing it. And we'll go from there. All right, we're back again. I'm going to use my number 3 brush that I've been hanging on to here forever. This is the one that goes right into a point, real nice. And sometimes when you're putting the paint on, if you just twist it, twirl it a little bit, it should go into a point. Now, to do some of the work we're doing here, a brush that has this kind of a point really works easier for you, okay? Where a brush, if I wet this one, it goes into a point, but it's much fatter in the end. It holds a lot more paint, and you could get in trouble with it, okay? By when you place it down, it could disperse more, and you want to keep it into a tight area. So I recommend a number 3 brush. This is like a number 6 brush or something like that. So this is good for washes, and even I'd get a bigger brush too than this for washes. But when you're getting into just sort of detailing, like the black or something like that, this is what I would recommend. Now, let me grab my, let's see, where did I put my magnifiers? Oh, here it is, right in front of me. I'm always using my magnifiers most of the time anymore. It just seems to be the nature of the beast with me. It's not that my eyes are that bad, it's just that it's just good to have more visibility of fine work, okay? Now, the black I was telling you about, I'm going to rinse my brush here with some water. I have a little cup of water here. I don't know if you can see that all the time. I dip my brush into it. I stirred the paint up. This is from what I used before, and I should have covered it, but it seems to be holding pretty good. So what I'm going to ask you to do is come in here, and here the center feather in the tail, I'm going to ask you to just leave a little bit of blue showing on the outside edge. And I'm going to get a little bit more. And if you notice, when I lift the brush, I take and rub it against the cup, take the excess off, so it's not runny or anything else like that. And then I'll come in and I'll do the other side, and then I'll fill the middle out so that when I have, I'm just going to leave, maybe a 30-second of blue sticking out on that. I don't know how well you see that, but the outside edges here and around the bottom here are staying blue, okay? I'm going to come in again, charge my brush up, take the excess paint off. Okay, this is, again, a little bit on the heavier side, almost like a creamy thing, and not a wash where it's real watery. It just isn't, okay? That helps to do, not like a one coat, but it's be a heavier coat. So I'm going to do the next one down. Now, if you get a little more than you should, let me go and add a little bit more water. I think I'm just want to stir the sauce up here. You have to get it to flow, and I don't want it real watery, but if you can see how it applies, I want it to flow easy. And I'm going to come around the bottom of it. And if you get too much black on, don't worry about it. We'll cover the black with the white eventually on the edges. Now I'll charge my brush up again. I want to keep this more on the heavier side. I don't know how well this is going to look, but I'm going to do each one here. And I'm going to just do this side. You're going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm just doing that to expedite things because I'd be repeating myself on the other side. And if you see it done on one side, you can do the same thing on the other side. So it'll, my videos get long sometime where I hope I'm not boring anybody, but I'm trying to give it to you in stages. Now, sometimes these won't get dark as I want them to be, so I may have to give them a second coat, okay? And when I do that, I'll try to stay within the black itself and not go out to the edge of where the blue is. And I think I'll show you how that happens. But, yep, I'm painting my finger now. Don't want to do that. If you notice, I try to keep my one hand attached to the other one so I'm not bouncing around here. You got to steady yourself. I'm trying to hold this up or even get my finger on the bottom of the tail when you're doing this, just to steady yourself. You know, as we get older, we may not have as steady a hand. So if you need to rest this on something while you're painting, do it, you know, whatever helps you get there. I like to hold my piece sometime like this. Now you can see what I sort of did. I got the black in the middle, and on the outside edge is the blue, and you could just see that faintly coming down here, okay, like that. Now, if you notice, we are a lot darker up here and not as dark down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this. And well, the first thing I want to do, and this is what I want to train you on, is clean your brush out when you're not using it. And don't do like I just did where I left paint untouched and I just put that in. And I take the excess out and I just lay my brush down, and your brushes will stay fine. If you let it sit, it'll cake up, and that's what happens in some of this. You'll see some of these, like this black is all dried up because it didn't have that much moisture in it. This was uncovered. So some of this gets like a film, a heavy film. So that's why I'm asking you to cover this, and you can preserve your paints where you can come back again. Now, I'm going to get my hair dryer, and as I told you before, never blow down onto your paint or your brush. So I'm going to aim my hairdryer out to the left here. Now I want you to do this on both sides of the bird, okay? And it shouldn't take that long because I haven't put that much paint in here, and I want to get this a little darker in the tail, just a little bit more. So this shouldn't take that long, and it's probably dry already. Now, what I'm going to do is come back again. I'm going to load my brush up, twist it to get it into a nice point, and take the excess off the edge of the cup so that it goes into a point. Now, hopefully, it'll get a little darker, like sort of towards the middle here, okay? And we don't have to, we don't want to go all the way out to the end, but we want to concentrate more to the middle. And it gets a little darker in the middle, and it's the same way along this edge. I'm going to try to darken that a little bit more. Make sure you don't have a loaded brush. And like I said, if you get into the blue side, don't sweat it. We'll fix it. If you happen to get a little heavy-handed, the white paint's going to take care of you. Okay, so don't feel as though you're in trouble. And it takes a little bit of steadiness. So here we go. There's that. I'm going to do this one. And it goes pretty fast, you know. It's, I think I'm getting this all the way up to where I should be. Yeah. I'm going to drag that down. There you go. That's about where I want you. It's going to be not as dark as this, but almost that. So something like that works out great. Now, I'm going to put this tray off to the side now, and I'm bringing in a clean one because what I want to do now is I'm going to let that air dry the tail this time so I can go ahead and start with the white. And I'm going to work it this way. I'm going to put some white paint. This is titanium white. Okay. I'm getting like a half a pea size of paint coming out. It's not a whole lot. I want to make sure my brush that I'm going to mix up has all the paint out of it, okay? Now, I'm going to do about 1/3 of a cup here of water. So I'm going to go about that much, about 1/3 of a cup, and I'm going to mix the white. Now, it should be, if we do it right, a creamy color, okay? And what I may do is move, if it's still globbed up in there, I'm going to move some of it out and just put it over here. Okay, like that. And I'm going to take all the paint off my brush. This will be the heavier side. I'm going to make this a little thinner side. And I'm going to add about a little more paint to almost get it halfway up the cup. Okay. And if anybody needs these trays or anything, I have them available. I have the paints available. I have brushes available if you need them. Okay. So, like, I used to carry some sable brushes that are inexpensive, that hold their point and stuff like that. So if you're looking for anything like that, contact me. I do have a catalog, and if not everything's in the catalog, but if you're looking for it, you can ask me and I'll make recommendations. Now I make sure I rinse the brush out, twirl it to get it together, and then I let it dry, okay? But in this case, we're still back to the number 3 with a nice point. Okay, now, let me bring my pattern sheet in here. And we had this grouping here, which is this group right here. And we had put black all the way down in here, and we left this blue. Well, we're going to paint this white now, okay? And this is this first row, which is what we left here is blue. And then we're going to go to the second row, which is this next grouping down, which actually we're going to paint 1, 2, 3 feathers with white edges. And then we're going to go and bring those edges all the way down through here, okay? And then we're going to highlight some of the feathers down here with a thinner white, okay? So the main bars are going to be, we're going to have a white bar right in here. We'll start with that one, and then we'll do this one, and then we'll do these 3 coming down. I hope I was in the camera. Whatever. Sorry about that. It's this row here, and then we go to this row, and then this row, but we have these 3 feathers here, and then we do a lighter wash down here, okay? So, and I don't want to touch the tail if I could possibly help it, so I'm working around the tail here, and I'll try to show you as best I can with the white. So I'm going to go in with the heavier mix. I'm going to get the white, stir it up again, okay, to make sure everything's mixed. Take the excess off. See what I'm doing? I'm rubbing it against the tray, and then I twist it. Of course, I got a spider in my what's the name here? Get him out of there. Okay, now I got white in here. Now, what I'm going to do is, the first thing is, we have this small grouping in here of the coverts, they're called, and I had a black streak coming down. So what I want to do here, I don't want to go into the mantle, but I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to make this arc right behind the black. And this is going to be coming out, oh, maybe we'll say maybe a 16th or better, okay? Right on up here, like so. Okay, that's the first one. Now you don't want to put your hands in, which I used to do. You keep your hands out of the paint, and you don't want to grab the tail, because we know we have the tail. If you feel safer, that second coat we did, you could dry that, and then you could handle the tail. So if that works for you, do that, okay? Now, the next row that comes down, that's all blue here, and we said we were going to come up with 1/8 of an inch. Well, here we go. I'm going to go right behind the black bar here. I'm going to come in, paint the bottom of that feather, like so. And then I'm going to come down and do the next one. And I'm going right up to the black bar. Okay. Like so. And I'm staying within the feather shape. Okay. So you got to make sure that you're painting the feather and not the one behind it now. Okay. Like so. Charge my brush up again, take the excess off, then I'll come in again. Go right up to the black. And if you make a mistake or something like that, or you're trying to correct something where you had black too much, you can go right over it with the white. It's going to cover that, okay? So I'm coming down here, and I'm doing my next feather, which is right in here. Then I got another one here. Okay. I think there were 9 feathers coming down, but who's counting? Okay, so there's our first row. Okay, now we have feathers in, let me bring this sheet in again. And we have feathers right in the center here. I'm going to use this one as an example. This is right off a center here where the wing is coming up. This outside one, we did these up here, okay, on this side. Now, these here, we're going to give it just a little less white. It's going to, I'll probably use the mix that's a little more watered down in the edges here, here, and here. And when we come down through here, I will go back to the heavier one. I'll show you. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to get the other mix. Let's see if this is too watery. I'll find out. I take the excess off. I want to get all of it out. If it's not dark enough, we'll come back. But I'm going to paint this feather. Let's see if I did this correctly. Yeah. We have this bottom right here. I hope you can see this, which is this one. Okay. And then I'm going to come up very lightly right along this side. Okay. And that's all you'll be able to see. Now on the next one, this feather outline is here. Now see, I have too much white up in there. So let me do this, and I'm going to show you how to fix that real fast. I'm rinsing my brush out, take all the paint out and the water. I'll come in here and I'll hit it, pick it up, and try to get the paint. See? This acts like a sponge, the brush. So I'll come back and take the paint out. Now, on top of that, just to help things along, I'm going to dry that whole area just with a tissue. So what happens, it took some of the paint out from above here, so I can come back and do that. But you don't want that all wet. So I'm going to come back, charge my brush up, take the excess off. I'm going to come in here again and do the one in front here, like so. Now, I'm going to come down here again, and I'm going to be really careful that I just get the outside edge, come around, and I come up on this one, right there. Okay. Then I do the next one. Then this comes all the way up to here. And I'm just trying to get that point right on the edge and come down. Now, like in this case here, that white is still drifting over and it shouldn't be there, and there's too much white. So we could do two things. We could let that dry, and I'll come back to it, and we have some black paint, and I could go in and paint that black, okay? So you can always go back and fix things. And I noticed too that when I was painting the next feather down, this should have been blue in here, and there's a little bit of black. So I am now going to go back to my heavier white, charge my brush up, take the excess off, and here we go. I'm going to come right in here. This is the next feather down, and it comes right in here, right on up to the black. And then I keep on doing each one as they stage down. And these are about 1/8 of an inch wide. I'm trying to do, I would do one side at a time because you would have a tendency to put your finger on the other side if you're trying to do two sides at the same time. So I'm painting all of this all the way down like this. And I don't want to go into those three that are on the bottom here. You stop short of them. Okay. Now, you notice how the first coat of the white that we put up here, it fades away. So I'm going to ask you, while we're working on that, is to come back, and I'm going to do half of the feather on the ends and brighten them up. Not the whole thing, just half of it. Okay? Because you're going to have like a little bit of light white going into a darker or a heavier white. Okay? So, and you want to just do the outside half here. Like so. See, and that brightens it up, but it also leaves a little bit of light, a lighter white up front. That's going to happen probably on this one too. And like I said, I got some white issues here, but we'll handle all this. Now, everything else here, I'm going to go with the lighter mix. Okay, so I'm going to come in here, stir this up, and I'm going to show you what I do. I take the excess off, and then I'm going to come in here, and we'll do the top feather, and this is going to be the outside edge. I'm going to start on the outside edge. I hope you can see this. The outside edge here. So this is why you need a finer brush. There's one. Then I do the outside edge of the second one. And if it gets a little out of control, you can rinse your brush out and do it again, or you could come back and we could add black in there again. So let me show you. Here's the next one down. I get the tip of my brush, bring it down all the way around to that outside. Then I do the next one right here. I'm doing what would be that part that looks blue. Okay. Like that. Then I go in, charge my brush up again, take all the paint out I can, make sure it goes into a point. Then I'm going to come down here, drag it right through that area I left blue, right on. This is the outer edge now, okay? Just like that. And then I'm going to do this one. Make sure you don't go into the 3 up here yet. Okay, so I'm going to come up here. Doing the outside edge. Charge up my brush again. And you're staying on the outside edge. Okay. Now, also, let's see, I'm going to look at my original here. On these here, see how those faded? And these are a little brighter. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going back to my heavy one again on this. Mix it good. Take the excess paint off. And I'm only doing that half again, the end half. So I'm going to touch this. So I'm going to brighten it a little bit more. I want you to see where I'm stopping at. This is like the 3rd coat of white right there. And you can almost see a little bit of like the blue showing through, and then an off-white, and then a bright white, okay? And we're going to do that down here too. We're going to come up here, right about here. I'm going to come around like that. Then I'm going to do the next one down, up, around. Okay, that still needs some black in there. I'm painting my fingers very nicely tonight. So then the next feather, I'm going to the outline of it, around here. Then it comes up here. Okay, now I'm going to go to the next one, and I'm only going to take it up about halfway. Then the next one, halfway. Next one, halfway. Next one, halfway. Okay. Make sure I'm doing all my feathers correctly. Okay, now I'm going to come back in on these with the heavy one again. This is that 2nd row. Take the excess paint off. And what I'm going to do is highlight half of the feathers coming down here. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to highlight that last one up here. Hope you can see this well. I'm staying about halfway on the white, and it's the ones at the edges down by the tail. Okay. And you could bring that right on down, like so. Okay. Now, let me start that up again because I'm trying to. Did I use the right mix? Hang on. Let me try this. I think I got my shallow one to the heavy one mixed up here. Let me go back and hit this again. Should be a little brighter white. There it is. Like so. And then I'll take a lead in from here, halfway, halfway. Okay, then I'll get this one. This feather here needs a little more work on the inside to get that darker. And maybe this little area up in here too. And I'll show you how we do that. So what we have, and we're going to do the same thing on the front. I think this is the heavier mix I have. Yeah, got the mixed up. You want to use the heavier mix to get the brighter white. Okay. Now I'm going to do half the feather here on these coverts right around here. Okay, and just let that dry naturally. Okay, now the last grouping going down, I'm going to ask you to come in. We'll use the heavier one here, and I'm going to come up here on this one and this one, coming around and just doing a slight edge of white coming up just a little bit more. Like that. Then you're going to do one more. And a slight edge right there. And if you mess up, you can always come in with the black on the inside later. You know what I mean? And you know, and you could do this and get the black in again, you know what I mean, or the white in, depending on which comes up pretty good for you. These aren't as bright a white as these two rows. And if the mix doesn't come out dark enough, the white, I'm going to ask you to do it again, okay? One more time, and I'll show you. I'll get it right. So I'm going to come in here, because it may take a couple of coats, depending on how you mix it and I mix it, you know. You don't want it too watery. The watery it goes, the less punch you have, you know, as far as the white goes. Now, I like the white right in here right now. I know I just painted that, and this isn't as bright. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to come back, charge my brush up. This is the heavier white here. I'm going to come and do that half again. I'm just going to do half the feather on the outside here. And come down one more time. Okay. And you can see how that sort of jumps. Now you see what happens with what we did here? That faded again. And that's fine. I'd rather you build it up rather than do a white splash of paint right through there. I'm coming to the outside edge. And I'm coming around with that, like so, okay? We'll let that dry. Now, for the tail, we're gonna do a similar thing, but you're gonna think it's silly. We're going to paint this white, and then we're gonna tone it down a little bit. It would blow, believe it or not, but bear with me here. On this outside edge here, I'm just going to come dragging this up and turn. Then I'm going to come up here, just hit that edge. And it takes some steadiness to do this. If you're not steady, you may want to prop it up somewhere. And like I said, you can always add the black afterwards, just to help yourself. And I hope I'm staying in camera range here, because I'm trying to steady myself at the same time. I'm trying to stay in camera range, so hope I didn't walk too much out of range. So you can see what I've done here. There. Now you see it's got like a white edge. I only want you to do that one time. And I want you to do the rest of the tail on the other side. But first do the black all the way down, dry it, and then do your white, okay? Then everything you see here, you're seeing that the white got brighter on the outside edge on this row. You can see it's brighter in here. That's just what I want right there, if you can see that. This is a much brighter white, and it fades as it comes into the black, and that's what we want. Now, if I have a spot where I think I was showing you, I'm going to rinse my brush now and get all the white paint out. Here comes a little fix. I got some black over in another tray here, so I'm going to pick that up. I'll put that down on my paper towel here, and I'll take the excess off so that you can see it. Now, I'm going to come back in without trying to put my hand in. Let me do it this way. I'll turn it around so I don't get my fingers into here. I need to get a little more black right into here, so I'm going to come back and paint it black. So you can come back and recoup what you may have messed up, okay? And I'm going to do that here, and a little bit here, and a little bit here, okay? And if I got too much white in one area, I could reduce that, just like that, and do a fix-up like that. So, if you notice, this is a brighter white along here, brighter white along here, little duller here. Now, the last thing we need to do, I'm rinsing my brush again to get the black out now, because I'm going back and forth here. I'm going to pick up the watered down white, which is this, take the excess off now. Now we have 3 little feathers right in here. Here's one of them. I'm just going to do the outside edge. Just a little bit of that outside edge. I'm doing my fingers very nicely today. Seem to be getting that right into the mix here. There you go. There's one. Now I want you to do this as one time, because these don't stand out as much. 2. And then here's 3. Okay, that's all you need to do. Now I noticed something. I'm going to rinse my brush. When I ran the black, I came up and I stopped short right in here. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of the black, which is out of camera range here. But I'm going to come in here and extend that right up to the, what's the name? Those 3 little feathers, at least the 3rd one anyway. And I'll do that a little bit there, and that covers us. So we have it for what we want to do on this video here. I'm going to ask you to come with the white. You're going to have 2 mixes. You're going to do the heavier mix up here, and I've done it about 3 times. But the second time you do it, you're doing only half of the feather. And if it doesn't come out white enough, then I'm going to ask you to do it a 3rd time. And same way, if this fades too much, I'll come back, and on the outside edge, closest to the tail, I'll do that again, because this should be prominent, this should be prominent, and this row should be prominent. That's what makes the bird. And the rest of these will be fading in. That's why we don't use a heavier white here, 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 and down here, okay? So, and same way with the tail. You're doing that after you do the black on this side, then you're doing the white afterwards, okay? So I'm going to ask you to get that done for me for the next video, and then what we'll do is we'll move on to the breast, and I'll show you that afterwards. And then we have a little bit more work to do on the beak. We'll get you there. And, you know, and if you're, see, I have like a little black that didn't seem to take or something on the beak here. So I'm going to come in while I got the black and just paint that top part just to get it where it should be. Okay, and then let that air dry. And then we'll work on that some more. Okay, so I hope you got something out of this one. If you did, I'd ask you to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you, like I said, if you can recommend me to friends or anybody that may be interested in wanting to do these birds, I do several of them. I have a whole slew of, I have almost 300 videos out there. And we're getting closer to finishing this baby, which is the Lazuli Bunting. And then we'll probably move on to another project. I may get you to do a little novelty one on the next one. I'm thinking about it anyway. We'll see how far I get. And but I want to try to get you this one done so we can concentrate on other things later. And if anybody wants to do this project and wants to give it a shot, I do have a catalog available. And if you write to me, and my email address is Rauscher, R-A-U-S-C-H-E-R, Frank, F-R-A-N-K, 7@gmail.com. If you email me, I'll and give me your email address, and I'll email you right back with my catalog. It lists all the birds I've done and animals and so on. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I have feet, eyes, equipment, you name it. And if you don't see it on there, if you contact me, I will definitely try to help you out. If I don't have it, I can put you on to who I think would be reputable to get it from and so on. But I do handle a lot of the equipment and things like that, and bases, and you name it. So definitely contact me, and we'll see if we can help you out. I hope you got something out of this video. And again, you're doing this side, and then you're doing the other side, okay? And by the next video, you should have that done, okay? See you on the next video. Hope you got something out of this one too. And see you then. Bye now.